Hey everyone, welcome back to the Occult Rejects. Today I'm very excited to cover this topic. I feel like for the last 2 years, multiple times throughout different topics that the Occult Rejects has covered, there's been just these like small little rabbit holes that somehow bring us back to Elon Musk. I haven't spent too much time to dig into this man myself. I have done a little bit here and there with Starlink and his bullshit spaceship stuff going on, but no, don't know too much about him personally. And like I was saying, I would come across him a lot covering other topics, but never went into it because the topic was already too in depth to begin with. But today I do get to have on Colby. First off, I do have Teresa on with me, co-hosting this episode of the Occult Rejects. Teresa from the Spiritual Gangsters, the other amazing show that I co-host. Would you like to say what's up, Teresa, and plug your show? Say what's up.
Sure. What is up? Thank you for having me back on the Occult Rejects. It's always a good time.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we have another fun show called The Spiritual Gangsters, which is a little bit more personal, but always relates back to conspiracy. So it's a fun time. People could check that out. That will be awesome.
Awesome. Yes, and the links for that will be in the bottom as well.
hmm
And now, finally got him on after rescheduling. Colby, what is up? Do you want to let everybody know about your show, Conspiracy Playtime, and where they can find it?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I've been
Course,
looking
man, of
forward to
course.
this. It actually worked out better for me to reschedule. I'm more prepared now than I would have been last time. So
There we go.
uh,
Yeah.
I have Conspiracy Playtime, and that is conspiracyplaytime.com. I also do kind of a weekly current events fuck around show called Disinfobation with Dusty from Unspeakable Truth, and you can find that anywhere that you get your podcast, except for YouTube. We are on Rumble, and yeah, that's about all I have to plug.
Nice. And I do have your links in the bottom now, I think, as we're going live. So if people want to check his show out, yeah, the links are in there. And I guess I wanted to just ask you what made you even decide to, well, I mean, I guess just because he's a name that's constantly being said, I mean, that could bring people to start looking into him. But what was it for you that made you start thinking? I guess really the best question is, unlike most people right now, what made you think maybe he's not the savior that everybody thinks he is?
Well, in the beginning, before he stepped into that role, he kind of just seemed like a really awkward genius. And that is the story that has been molded for him. So I kind of viewed him in that light. And then he went on Joe Rogan. I think it was back in like 2018. He's been on a few times, but that was like the first one. And it just seemed like, and first of all, anybody who goes on that show, like, automatically blows up. And I mean, we could go through the list, but he's certainly on the top of it. And I think that's where his rebranding started. And so when he smoked weed on Joe Rogan, and
I remember that. I watched that
it
recently.
was like a cigar, he did not inhale, and then he pretended to be stoned. So that was for me the first time that I was like, we all know that kid in high school, right? Like, you go to a party and they pretend that they're high. You give them a few non-alcoholic beers and they're walking, tipping over, running into shit.
Yeah,
So it just seemed like he's a little bit dishonest. And then I really got skeptical of him when he started this right-wing savior, almost stepping into Donald Trump's role in a way. And that's when we decided, my co-host Jeremiah and I, on Conspiracy Playtime, to do a deep dive into it. And he also kind of idolized Elon Musk at first because he's big into tech and all that stuff. But the stuff that he uncovered and the stuff that I've looked into since then, I mean, this guy, he's not who he says he is. Kind of like every big tech billionaire, he has really weird beginnings that don't quite add up.
I would agree. And I do. I think it's kind of funny what you said. I guess maybe that's like a rule we could all live by. If the man fakes a hit on the blunt, can't trust him.
So we could trust Bill Clinton then.
I'm
kidding.
I mean,
Well, that wasn't
Obama
a
you could
blunt, that was a
trust.
cigar, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, we're gonna go there. Okay, yeah.
That's funny.
I did find that interesting too. I thought when I did watch that video, I honestly didn't think like he was inhaling. So
Oh,
I think that's funny.
he just, as soon as it enters his mouth, it comes right out like a big old plume, like when you're smoking a cigar.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then he magically opens up about himself and how it is to be inside his head because he took a fake hit of weed.
You know what I find confusing too in some ways, like, with the whole conspiracy community. You have a lot of people out there who like really, man. I don't think it has to mean that you believe in a flat Earth, but you do have a lot of people out there who don't believe in moon landing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably a huge part of this conspiracy community. Really doesn't like or questions that. And like, well, we got there through rockets and NASA. And this guy's fucking with rockets and NASA, and we're supposed to believe everything he's telling us?
Yeah, SpaceX, first of all, I mean, it might be a good place to start
Mm.
because that is really the only, he has all these companies. SpaceX is really the only one that he founded. Like Tesla was founded in 2003 by two other dudes. And
It is true. I don't know if a lot of people know that,
no,
actually.
that's something a lot of people don't know. And
I
what's
didn't
funny,
know that.
yeah, it's because he has rebranded that story just like he has rebranded the PayPal story so that it looks like he's the guy that goes in there. He likes the credit. This guy acts like he's socially awkward and autistic on the spectrum, but he is a whore for attention and he wants the credit. He had a falling out with Peter Thiel over the PayPal shit. And when they went in there and rebranded the contract at the end of it before selling it to eBay, he made it so they had to take down everybody's name who founded it so that he could take credit for it. And with Tesla, he's just kind of lied about that the whole time. When he shot that Roadster into space, that car was the first one off the assembly line. It was supposed to go to one of the dudes who founded it. And that's kind of why I think he did it, just to say like, hey, fuck you, dude. This is my company. I mean, I thought that whole thing was really weird. Have you guys seen the video where he shoots it into space and he's being interviewed and he goes, you could tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Yeah. I remember that.
What the fuck's that supposed to mean?
Some of his stuff for, I think I used some of his launches for our Skinwalker series intros, actually. Yeah. And yeah, even with, did you even think that shit got launched out there?
No. I mean, dude, I'm one of those people who doesn't think that NASA's legit and that we really went to the moon or can go into space. I think he's playing into that whole thing.
I mean, you're sticking so like the whole thing with like a David Bowie playing and the car being shot out to space, just to me, like I think it's fake and it's just like an occult symbol. It's just like we're making a statement. I mean, I hate to because David Bowie, I mean, this fucking guy was open about his occultism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He picked one of his songs.
Exactly.
Ritualistic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you. So I guess go back to.
I mean, we could keep going with his companies and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
I really don't have a lot to say about the whole beginning of PayPal other than it kind of shows what kind of dude he is from the very beginning. And if you want to just like go back and talk about his past a little bit, whenever you're looking into somebody like this, I think it's really valuable to look into their family history. And when you look into his family history, it does start to seem like he has been groomed to be this savior that has stepped into the role of. So I'll just share something with you about his grandfather on his mom's side. And I don't know if either of you are familiar with Technocracy Incorporated. It's kind of a smaller deal, but it started in Canada in the year 1933, no less.
33 in Canada.
Of course.
Yeah. And I don't know. His name's Joshua Haldeman, and this is May Musk. This is her father. And I do understand that Teresa has some interesting stuff about her that I haven't heard, so we'll get into that. But
yeah,
first
Tell them about that, Brian.
it's okay. It's good.
This was something that was kind of like the beginning of transhumanism, really, as far as like merging it into the mainstream. And it wasn't necessarily a political party, but that's kind of what it was. And they wanted a future of only scientists. It was like in the science we trust kind of thing.
Ooh.
And he ended up getting arrested and jailed briefly for like speaking out against the Communist Party. He was kind of an activist in a lot of ways. He ended up fleeing Canada. And I think May, Elon's mother, was only 2 at the time. That's when he ended up in South Africa. And
okay.
so this transhumanist shit that he pushes, it's definitely in his lineage. And when they relocated, I don't know the story about how she grew up and she became a model. And why this might be interesting to you. Have you looked at her photo shoots at all? You need to Google
I didn't
this
even
at some
know
point.
his mother's name until Teresa sent me some off the wall shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, the symbolism
She's
and
out there.
the occult shit in these photo shoots, I mean, you'll like spend an hour looking at it later, I bet,
It's very
analyzing
blatant.
it. So she ends up hooking up with this guy, and his Errol Musk, Elon's father, which this is just another part
I
of the
even find the
story.
last name just very interesting.
Musk, he's a little musky. So
Muskrat.
this guy is a piece of shit. Errol Musk. This guy, this is where the lie starts, because he owned over half the shares in at least one large mineral mine. And when Elon's confronted about this, he denies it. He says, no, my father didn't own a mineral mine. And when he says it like that, that could be true on its face, because he didn't own it. He owned over half the shares in it. So technically, he was a large shareholder, and there was times
he might have had control of it.
Exactly. And he was wealthy for a South African white guy. He was probably at least upper middle class, if not considered just straight up wealthy. He also, Musk has stories that he used to talk about where he would steal these emeralds and like, take them to pawn shops and then go out and like party with friends and shit like that. He doesn't really talk about it much anymore. He kind of has put his father at a distance, which that's another thing, that they divorced. And there's this story, Elon Musk and his mom have gone on the media circuit saying that he was extremely abusive and that they cut ties when the divorce happened. But the truth is that Elon Musk went and lived with his father 2 years after the divorce. And to me, when you look at the way this guy lives, I bet you, if I had to speculate, that it had a lot to do with his dad's lifestyle. I think it was more appealing than kind of struggling with a single mother. So that's when he kind of moved back, and he ended up in Canada. He ended up in the States. One of the coolest things about him.
Was he in New York?
No, I don't think so. He ended up going to the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School. And and it's a finance division of UPenn. But if you look at their alumni list, this is like the who's who. I mean, Ivanka Trump went there. Warren Buffett went there. There's a lot of people that I didn't know their names, but when you go and click on their names, this alumni list you can find on Wikispooks if you go to the School of Wharton. And these are all really, high rollers, people who have shaped our society. And they're not all household names. A few of them are. So this is like known as Deep State University. So he's going there. He went somewhere else, and then he went to Stanford, and he dropped out after 2 days. And I think he figured there was more money to be made in Silicon Valley. So at the beginning of his story, you got to take into account Kimball Musk, who is Elon's brother. And Kimball Musk is the one who is kind of good looking. He's charming. Elon Musk was the awkward kid in the corner crunching numbers and like figuring all this tech stuff out.
You know what's interesting though? You did mention that before, and like how he kind of like you were saying almost like plays off like a on the spectrum type dude. When you from some things that I've come across pictures of him when he's younger and like some of the stories, like you just mentioned something about him like going out and like partying with his friends after selling these gems. He doesn't seem as when he was younger, he doesn't seem as somebody who's on the spectrum. He seemed very happy, very with it in the face, and actually out and social.
That is.
And now all of a sudden, this total image change when he's in the spotlight more.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring back that point, because when he went to school, I don't remember which college this was. This might have been UPenn, but he always talks about how he struggled and had student loans and shit, which isn't true. I mean, this guy had a lot of help from his dad's connections, and he ended up taking some of the money he was supposed to use. They ended up investing in this property that was a shithole, probably like an old rundown frat house. And so he's always business minded, and this will show that. He ended up charging cover for these big college parties, and he's probably pretending to smoke weed again, because he would stay sober, make sure the money side of the things happened. People were coming from all over the university
I
to
just rolled up
party at this
joints with like
place.
clove cigarette crap.
There you go.
Just standing by the door charging people, acting like he was smoking a joint.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And so Kimball Musk and Elon started Zip2. And this is a company that you might be familiar with if you've ever looked into him, because it is kind of his beginnings. And his father bankrolled $200,000 worth of this. And there was also an investor who was a father connection. And he denied it at first. And this is funny. This is the contradictory nature of Elon that you're going to see pop up a lot. So he says at first, I didn't have any help with this. And then you find out that his dad gave $200,000. But he said, my dad didn't do more than 10%, which was that number. So he was caught in a lie, and he this kind of happens to him every once in a while when people dig into it. And he has a tendency to block people on Twitter now that he controls it. He'll take accounts down. Kanye West's account got taken down after he showed that picture of really dorky Elon Musk where he's balding. He hasn't had his hair transplants yet. That's when Kanye got taken down. It had nothing to do with that stupid swastika thing. That was the reason that was given. But if you look at the timing of things, that's when it happened.
You know what was weird? I came across... Fuck, I'm probably going to screw this up. It may not be the Urantia book. There was somewhere I came across that symbol in a book somewhere else after the fact. And I was like, yo, that literally looks like the same exact thing Kanye West took from and posted.
Yeah.
It was actually a weird cult thing that I came across, and I was like,
Yeah, it's not a swastika. I don't know what he was trying to do with it. I don't think Kanye really knows what he's doing most of the time. I think he's kind of controlled, and he just put the symbol up that they told him to. He does really well at acting like he's not with it, but I think Kanye is aware of what he's doing. But anyway, that's a tangent.
Well, to even go back to Musk now, and then I'm sorry to be taking you off, but
oh no, you're good.
Like you even talking about Kanye, like sometimes I do think he's just burnt the fuck out from either fucking with Magic or MK Ultra or whatever, being something has like fractured that dude's mind. I have also wondered if that's why Elon sometimes does act different.
I agree.
That'd be very little, just like he's not as extreme as Kanye with the side effects.
Well, there's a rumor going around out there, and it's hard to verify these kind of things, but there's a rumor that Elon Musk actually does have a Neuralink in. He was, subject 0, and if that's true, the implications are, sky high. You could just dream up all sorts of stuff about who this guy is, who's controlling him and whatnot. That's a rumor. I don't want to say that that's something you can find in actual research. I just think it's interesting to think about. Anyway, so Kimball was the guy who's rubbing shoulders with the money while Elon's supposedly at home doing the, the hard work. And at some point in time, they start to kind of blow up and get a little success. And this is when Kimball Musk starts interacting with none other than Jeffrey Epstein. And we're not talking about just a little bit. I mean, to put it in a vulgar way, Elon's brother is Eskimo brothers with Jeffrey Epstein. There was a lady, and we don't know how old she was when this happened. I want to call her lady, but who knows how old she was. She was a member of Epstein's entourage, ex-girlfriend of Epstein's. As a sign of good faith, she was given to Kimball. And when I say given, I don't know how much consent this woman had, but they did begin dating. And at that point, it seemed like this was leverage to get Jeffrey Epstein onto the assembly line floor at SpaceX, which he did because Kimball ended up becoming a board member of both Tesla and SpaceX. And this Epstein connection goes deep. There's real estate ties and business ties that go all the way back to these like New York apartment buildings where this sex trafficking was going on. Kimball and Elon are both tied tightly to that, which I've did a little bit more digging on this last night, and that's just it seems like you could just pull that thread forever. And
I find this interesting because, like, we said this multiple times. I think when we covered the Order of Quetzalcoatl, which that went into QAnon. I really feel like neither QAnon-esque, or a lot of the saviors of the right, in my opinion, are actually guilty of the things that people think they're saving them from.
Precisely. I mean, I think we could say the same thing about Trump.
Because, like, a lot of that QAnon stuff, if Quetzalcoatl is associated with that, the Order of Quetzalcoatl, they literally traffic kids for the Shriners. Like, they have vans and they traffic kids for the Shriners to their hospitals. They have a bunch of lodges on the borders of Canada and fucking Mexico. So that's, as if Quetzalcoatl is behind QAnon, I just find it funny that, like, in my opinion, the people who are actually doing the sick shit are the ones who are telling people, we're stopping it. Yeah, like QAnon didn't know that James Watkins had pedophile sites. How did you not know the guy's site that you're dropping your drops on?
I mean, don't you think they did know? So they
That's
could
what I'm
control
getting.
it?
How did you not know the guy who owns that site has pedophile sites? He was the first person to import Japanese porn into this country. The great knowing Q did not know that? Come on.
All powerful Q.
Sorry. But yeah, I just think that I find that interesting because, again, like, I find Elon kind of associated with that whole area,
Very much so. And he likes to deny it. He likes to, just like with his father, because I do want to interject a little bit from what I was saying before about Errol being a piece of shit. So this guy fathered the child of his 16-year-old stepdaughter. And this was a marriage that took place, either one marriage after or two. I don't remember it doesn't really matter. He got married again after May, and the daughter was 16. She was going through a breakup, and she's over 40 years younger than him. He ends up getting her pregnant, and I don't know at like what point in the story this happens, but I think that once it was revealed, this is when Elon decided to say, my dad abused me. I didn't have anything to do with him after my mother and him divorced, which is verifiably untrue. So anyway, to get back to...
Was it like him, like, doing things together like years after the fact?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's kind of like Jim Morrison and his dad. Just like this story that they didn't ever know each other. And like right before the Gulf of Tonkin thing happened, they were sitting on that naval ship together when Jim Morrison has a crew cut. So
they say that because it's like, don't think that me and my father, who was in the the military, had any associations. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember
Laurel Canyon.
Oh, we should do an episode on that sometime.
Yeah, I would definitely love to do that. Actually,
it's one of my favorite topics. I mean, I've researched that to no end. Cosmic Julia also, she has that really, or Cosmic Peach, she has that really
maybe
good.
I could get you both for that.
Ooh, dude, I'd love that. So Elon himself has like 10 kids and 2 sets of twins. So his first marriage, this is okay. So if you want to start getting into blood sacrifice and stuff, like I used to laugh about this, but I think there might be something to it now, because you always hear about the firstborn sacrifice, and Elon's firstborn son died at 10 weeks. And we might be getting into some weird waters here, but I want to tread lightly when I say that he has lied about this. He claimed on Twitter, the reason I will not let Alex Jones back on Twitter, when he was pressed on that issue, he claimed, I don't want to be associated with the guy who makes money off the death of children. We know what he's talking about. The Alex Jones covered a lot. And then his ex-wife said, he said, I had to hold my dying child in my arms. His ex-wife comes out and says, That's funny you say that because you weren't even in the same state when our kid died. So he's using this for clout and virtue signaling. I think that's as low as it can go. So who knows what the hell happened? This kid died at 10 weeks old. SIDS. That's the story. After that, he had a set of twins with his second wife, and this is the one. They're like 18 now, and one of them is transgender and has disavowed him. And he goes back and forth on the whole how he feels about trans. He has come out in support of the movement, but now that he's like, on the alt-right side and kind of embracing that role, now he's saying, oh, the cultural Marxism has brainwashed my child. So now that she's already disavowed him, he can say whatever the hell he wants. But I just find that funny that so Elon's mother was a twin. He has a set of twins. His second set of twins is his most recent children. And it's funny because, the people that he's associating with now might judge him for this, but these twins were born right after his second kid with Grimes. And this was from like a high up that he worked with. I don't remember if she was with Tesla or SpaceX, but she was on the board of one of those companies. They had a set of twins together. This is why the guy has so many kids. I mean, he's just out there spreading his seed like a bull elk. And
see, this is even another thing that I find weird is because I do think Quetzalcoatl, like when we're getting into the order of Quetzalcoatl, I do think there is very much similarities with Mormon stuff.
like the polygamy and shit.
Mormons are very big with just popping out kids. Again, the Mormons are huge in Florida. They own most of the orange juice fields out there, orange fields out there. I think they own the most commercial property in Florida. I mean, you got fucking Trump is down there. DeSantis is down there. People pushing Q. Quetzalcoatl stuff is down there. I just the Mormons will actually go to the same pyramid in Mexico that the Quetzalcoatl people go to.
I know they have a lot of compounds down there and stuff.
So, and like they have, it's just there's a lot of similarities I've seen between those two, to where I have actually, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so this is going to be out there, but I do think there is something up with like Elon, Trump, DeSantis, and maybe one or two other people that are more of like pushing the Mormon-esque type of shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is practicing polygamy in a non-traditional way. Like,
Joseph Smith was a Mason, so he was already. I consider Mormonism basically an occult psyop in itself. So.
I mean, man, you've dug into Joseph Smith. There's no other way to put it. It definitely started out that way. It's become something else at this point. Like, I grew up with Mormons, and it's funny you mentioned like them owning a lot of the land in Florida. I grew up in southern Idaho, and they own a lot of the fields that were growing the Simplot wheat that was going to make Coors beer. I mean, and they have a big stance against alcohol, but they're not afraid to make a little bit of fucking money off of it.
Right.
It's good business.
I mean, and even look at Epstein too. He was another one who was like had tons of his own like seed ready to go.
Oh, he had a plan to his seed. He thought it was sacred. This guy was almost like L. Ron Hubbard creepy when it came to that kind of stuff.
So, I mean, look at this, and then they were associated with Elon. Like it's a lot of spreading your seed idea.
Bill Gates is supposedly against populating the planet any further. How many kids does that guy have? At least Elon, when he's it's one thing I do agree with him on, and I got to give him credit for his stance on the depopulation or the overpopulation being a myth and being a psyop that's pushed on us to stop having kids. He thinks that in 20 years from now, we're going to have a severe crash in population. I mean, we all know that there's a lot of things factoring into that. And he wants people to have a lot of kids.
Yeah. I don't know. I think of all these people and I'm like, how far away are we from like Handmaid's Tale from coming true?
Well, I mean, that's funny too, because if you look at the liberals who are all like, I'm not afraid to admit that I'm not entirely pro-life. I think it's a nuanced position to take, but with the liberal position on that, I saw AOC saying we need immigrants to come up here and have kids because we're not having kids. We need them to fill the jobs. And she acts like she's being, altruistic in that stance, but it really is Handmaid's Tale type of shit. And everybody flipped out and started wearing the costumes when Trump got elected. But the truth is, it's coming from the other side. I don't remember where we were on Elon's story. I think.
Oh, you were talking about
we got to the Epstein connection as far as Kimball goes, and
then you went back and I think you started talking about his father again, maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to show what a creep Errol was and how Elon Musk. I don't know, like him and Grimes. I don't know what their situation is. It seems like they're together sometimes. And I don't know, they might have an open kind of thing because I guess she was running around with Chelsea Manning, formerly Bradley Manning. They like had a little thing going. Elon's out having kids with coworkers.
Didn't Elon have a thing with Amber Heard as well?
That's another thing I want to say. So you want to talk about like him stepping into the savior role with this whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial came along and the stuff that came out about like Johnny Depp flipping out and sending her texts about how Elon Musk has a weird dick and just all that type of stuff. Like Elon Musk got to look favorable in that light too, because Johnny Depp was thrown under the bus. And I mean, I'm not a Johnny Depp guy, love his older movies, but that dude's a total occultist for sure. I mean, you want to talk about running around with Damien Eccles and all that stuff. So,
I mean, I even think the whole character he was playing was an occult archetype.
Oh, yeah, the whole trial was actors.
I'm sorry. I meant to say with his movies, the fucking pirate movies.
See, that's when
I think that's all occultism, and I think he understands that. I mean,
the guy's when he became a movie star. What's that? Yeah, I mean, he's
like you didn't have to go that far unless you're trying to make it a point to other people who understand stuff.
Right, and you just like with May Musk, if you look at a lot of the photo shoots Johnny Depp's done, it's all occultist. So, I mean, this stuff doesn't just incidentally happen. He definitely sold out when he took on those pirate movies. Like he used to say, "I'll never be blockbuster boy." And every movie he did, every role he did, it doesn't matter how much he was getting paid, he would put his soul into it. Now he phones it in, and he's a rock star, hanging out with Alice Cooper and shit. So, anyway, Elon Musk. If you want to start getting into more present day stuff, because I mean, I think the foundation has been laid, the connections his family has, and then the Epstein connections. This is something that should make everybody just kind of step back a little bit. He is single-handedly the number one defense contractor in the United States of America. If you think Starlink is designed to give people who live out in the woods internet, think again. Most of those contracts go to the military. Most of this shit is over in Ukraine right now. And I mean, Elon Musk is subsidized by the United States government, the military, and NASA. If those three things don't make you go, who the fuck is this guy? Just do a little digging.
He's a private employer of the government.
Yes. He is not a libertarian. He acts like he is. He is not for free speech. Twitter is worse than it's ever been, and I don't really care. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. You bought it for all that money that wasn't yours, but you did acquire that company. As a way to continue your rebranding, you stepped into this free speech warrior mode. I say fuck in some of my tweets and I get sensitive material content warning.
Wow.
And it's just like, dude, Twitter used to be kind of fun. It is the place is designed to shitpost. And I use it to promote my podcast and to shitpost. I barely use it anymore. Every once in a while I'll get drunk at night and just kind of go have fun on it. But most of the time now I also think that the reason he did acquire Twitter is that they're harvesting shit for AI. I think everything he does is harvesting shit for AI.
All right, this again is where I think Elon Musk and Trump come into play. Trump had a fuck ton of people to join Twitter. And now the AI is in there to read and track people.
Yeah.
Of that mind thought. That thinking. I do honestly believe that Trump brought people on there to be read.
Oh yeah, and you talk about Elon and Trump. I got to tell you, my mom is kind of like on the level with all this stuff. She thinks that Trump is Elon's dad. And I don't know why she thinks that. She just has a feeling about it. But when you look at them and you look at the way they act, dude, okay, this is funny because people who are watching this instead of listening to it, do you remember when Elon Musk used to be like this? In all his pictures, he just looked real shy. Now you see him and he's like, he just looks like a goofy bastard. This all started after he like smoked weed. This is what Dusty, my co-host on Disinformation, says. He's like, yeah, he went on Joe Rogan, smoked weed, and fucking gained a sense of humor. And that is kind of
like
true.
A cocky libtard that thinks they know the science.
Exactly.
Like, for real. That's what I think of.
Yeah. He has an authoritarian viewpoint over science, very similar to Fauci. He hasn't gone out and said, I am the spaceman, but he kind of has. It's not
like some dude who like still lives in the basement of his mother's house, like a fucking half-eaten Domino's pizza sitting next to him, neckbeard going on. But they know how to fucking they know how to code, so they got this cocky fucking awe about them.
Yeah, and knowing
that's how I feel Elon Musk really is. Actually.
Well, it is, and knowing how to code is just a bonus because if Kimball was the coder, we might be having this conversation about him instead, and maybe Elon would have been the guy going out and like getting screwed with the entourage of Epstein. You just don't know. It's just the way these things work out. It's all in the lineage, and Kimball Musk should be a household name just for his connections, but it all just circles back to Elon in the end. And he is the one who we should be focusing on because this man is being idolized by very intelligent people who seem to know how the world works. But when it comes to these characters, they take on a form of worship that is just, it's scary to me how many smart, intelligent people I know who fall under Trump and just idolize the guy. Same thing with Elon Musk. He can do, and I'm going to quote Oddman here. I was on a panel with him and Jack Allen, and Oddman said, the guy can just type out a basic bitch tweet, and he automatically gets 100,000 retweets and likes. And it's true. And I don't even think that that's like generated. I think it's real numbers because this guy has a cult following. And I have like spoken out against him to friends of mine who really idolize him, and it's like changed their opinion about me to them because I don't feel the same way about Elon Musk, and I try to warn them about him. And he's a false god, basically.
When I first started shit posting on him and Trump on my Instagram, I would literally take shots of my followers, screenshots, so I can see how many I lost.
I bet they were dropping pretty fast.
One time on purpose, I specifically did this shit on purpose. I dropped a video of Biden talking about having a conversation with his father, and his father even saying, well, even though we're not Jewish, we're still Zionists. So I dropped that, and people are all fucking shitting all over him. I knew he was a Zionist, blah, blah, blah. And then I posted a video of Trump speaking at a Zionist thing, receiving an award at a Zionist thing.
Trump's pro-Israel all the way.
Hated me, and my things dropped. I literally just showed you the same thing you just shit on an hour ago, but because it's now one of your fucking gods, you don't like hearing it.
Exactly.
That's disturbing.
We got to stop this. And this is why I like to speak out against Elon Musk, because he's the guy right now. And I don't have...
Sorry to interrupt you, but
go for it.
I don't want to forget this. I wanted to go back to it. You mentioned Starlink. Even when I was saying to Teresa, I said, for all we know, these balloons that are being shot down, if they're taking any information at all or receiving any information at all, and if it's even, let's say it is going to China, how the fuck do you think it's getting there, Starlink?
Yeah.
So, like, even if we were spied on, odds are the technology they're even going to use to send the information back to someone is probably Starlink.
And to cut in there on that point,
so many countries use it.
If you want to talk about warfare again with Starlink, the Israel government and probably us smuggled Starlink technology into Iran, with the government of Iran having no fucking idea that this went on. So this is something Whitney Webb pointed out in her books and her research, is that he has blood on his hands in these dirty wars that are going on all over the world just because his technologies be used. And I don't want to give him too much credit, because if you take Neuralink, for example, this technology that's in Neuralink was being developed by DARPA for over 40 years. Elon Musk has nothing to do with this technology other than, like he always does, coming on in, taking other people's work and saying, look what I did. Yeah.
That's even the other thing I had never understood. It's just like, there's been so many things with him. I mean, when you see him describe AI, I think I forgot whose show he was on, but he was like, it's like the magician when they're standing in the pentagram and they got the bowl of water in their hand and they think, or whatever he said they have, and they think that they're controlling the demon, and they're not. And that's his idea of what AI is, but yet he's fucking pushing it. He talks about like putting chips in fucking pigs' heads. But then people on the right who are like shitting on Gates think this guy's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. There's that
How the fuck do you
that meme that shows Bill Gates saying, I want to put microchips inside you, and the guy's like, no way, dude. Elon Musk, I want to put microchips inside you. Awesome, man. It's the same guy. Different veneer. Bill Gates and Elon Musk are pushing all the same things other than the population agenda. They're pushing all the same things. And let's just go off on Neuralink now. I think since we breached that topic, it's a good thing to talk about. Neuralink, in the trials with monkeys, by Neuralink's own admission, 8 out of 23 of those motherfuckers died. 8 out of 23. Now, an outside source claims it was as high as 15. And this is coming from Whitney Webb's journalism again. She's dug into Elon probably more than anybody, and she's somebody I trust. And her sources always check out. So whether it's 8 or 15 doesn't really matter to me. The FDA is going to push this shit through because he has connections with them too. Like the guy that's running the FDA right now is an old Google exec. And they passed this law in 2016 under the CARES Act, where if it's like a mechanical thing, it doesn't fall under the same category as the other stuff that they have to press through. So they can just do it if they want to, and they will do it because they're going to get people with rapid onsetting dementia, blind people, paralyzed people. They're going to get these people to volunteer and sign away, any wrongdoings that might happen. Neuralink won't be responsible for it. And I know that human trials, I haven't looked lately. I think they probably are underway, if I had to guess, and we just don't know about it yet. Or maybe they have announced it. That's something I haven't looked into in the last few months. But Neuralink is coming. And if you ask Jason Burmis, he says the military has had Neuralink for years, and the only difference is it's wearables. You can put on these headsets and control a drone with your thoughts. This technology is real, but there's no reason to inject it. The injecting it is where you need to go, why? Neuralink has already been here, but now Elon's here to put it inside of us. And since we all trust him because he's God and he saved Twitter and he will, talk shit about the libtards, why not inject Neuralink?
Do you think it's just like they're just picking a salesman?
That's what they've done for sure. And, it's funny, like we said before, Kimball was the salesman in the beginning and Elon Musk was the dork in the corner. Now look at him. He is selling this to us in mass. And I'm afraid of what's going to happen when people, if you want to talk like the mRNA technology is scary enough, but now we're starting to do nanotech inserts into our brain. And, Charles Lieber, is it Charles Lieberman or Lieber? I think it's Charles Lieber. He was doing this research back in the early 2000s about getting this nanotech to just be absorbed or something. I don't remember. I'm not a science guy, but it has something to do with the lipids, and it works. Like, I used to be skeptical of Neuralink even working. I think it works. I don't think it's going to be a smooth transition into you being able to just insert this stuff without having major repercussions. And, in 5 years, we might be having this conversation and half the population's gone because they all thought Neuralink was a good idea. That's the kind of stuff that I think about.
Yeah, I've even wondered if, unfortunately, because of censorship, maybe from the things that people have gotten recently might give them side effects that will require Neuralink to fix.
I haven't thought about that, but yeah, that could be like a good
5 years
business
down the road.
opportunity. I think you're right.
I mean, what's funny too is that you had mentioned they'll probably get dementia people, right?
Yeah, that's one of the major pushes for it.
What did Joe Biden say a while ago?
Tell me.
Well, he said it multiple times. For some reason, I don't know why. He's never explained why, I don't think. But one of the things that we're going to have to worry about eventually is dementia. That's going to be a huge issue eventually.
Well, he should be worrying about it right now.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is I think people will laugh at it because it's like funny coming from him.
Well, a lot of people
Like,
think he's
maybe you
faking it.
should listen.
Maybe he'll be the
20
test
years from
subject.
now, if it becomes a supposed problem, shit, Joe Biden was telling us about that prior. Why didn't we get it then? Because we were too busy laughing at the dude who seems like he has dementia.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I sometimes pay attention to shit like that. Like, why are you saying that? Especially multiple times. You know? So I found that interesting that you mentioned dementia would be a good person to take the chip.
Yeah, I think that's what's being pushed is dementia, blindness, and paralysis. Those three things are like what the Neuralink 1.0.
Oh, and we'll give you VR headsets to put you blind so you need them to.
Yeah, you won't need to see the outside world.
Yeah, well, no, they'll put something in the VR headsets that make you go blind. The people don't even realize it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, it's probably pushing all this because of what's been injected in people the last couple of years. Like now is the time for it to interact with whatever it's supposed to interact with, right? That's my theory.
Yeah. I think that it's all connected, and yes. Elon seems to be at the center of it right now. It won't always be him. And, a lot of people are like, why do you hate him so much? What's your vendetta? And it's like, well, he took me off Twitter, that asshole. But in all honesty, I really don't have a vendetta against him personally. It's the system that has propped him up and has propped up many before him and will prop up many after him. He just happens to have the throne right now, and he's having fun with it, and he's making money off of it. And who's to say that I wouldn't do the same thing if I was Elon Musk? I don't know. He's had a very different life than us. And I mean, we are playthings in the hands of these people. So he's just doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah. And just him being propped up in general should make people question why he's there. Right. You don't get that platform unless there's a reason.
Yeah. And luckily the breadcrumbs are there. It's easy to see. This is documented, but people really care more about how they feel about Elon Musk and these celebrities they worship. And when I say celebrities, I don't just mean movie stars. I mean politicians. I mean tech billionaires. And if you don't ask yourself why you've fallen into this trap, just understand that it's okay. We all were MK Ultra to a degree. We all grew up watching this stuff that fed this shit into our heads so that we would follow people like Elon Musk. Elon Musk had a cameo in Iron Man 2. Tony Stark is the movie version, Robert Downey Jr., and it is modeled after Elon Musk before he was even famous. He was not a household name when that movie came out. He was a name amongst the people who knew what's what. Robert Downey Jr. knew who he was. And now I think a lot of people think that Elon Musk is Iron Man. I really think that. And he plays into it.
Yeah.
So we've been groomed as well, so that's what we need to do is just look at that, look at how it happened, and don't make the mistake again the next time another Elon Musk or Donald Trump rolls around.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was doing a little bit of digging on him before today, and I don't know if you know some of his cousins. I think their last name is Rive. They're first cousins. So apparently this group of first cousins were the founders of Evergreen. Yeah.
Really?
And sold it to Dell, I don't know, some years back or whatever. But I thought that was odd.
Now, the Evergreen you're talking about is the container company, right?
The one that was stuck in the Suez Canal. Yeah, the same Evergreen. Yeah, I found that super weird. And I did dig up this random video. I don't know. Do you want me to go into it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there's.
Yeah, I think this is just wild. I mean, who knows if it's true?
I don't know. It could be total BS. Who knows? But there's this lady out there that I found who is named Rosemary, and she claims all these outlandish claims. Who knows what the heck true, not true. I'll just say some of them because it's interesting what she has to say. She does remind me a little bit of like a Kathy O'Brien type of person. So I think her mind is a little bit fractured. Some of the memories could be not real, but we'll see.
Can I ask, do you believe Kathy O'Brien?
I
The
do.
stuff she said. Look, I do too.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see, when you said that, I just wanted to know the comparison.
But if you're not familiar with, someone who's a survivor of abuse and MK Ultra, all the things, this lady would seem crazy to you. But at first I was like, she's legit batshit crazy. And then as she kept talking, I was like, maybe she has some points. So she claims to be, running in the same circle as like the Musk family. I don't know who her mother is, but her mother apparently was some sort of partying with elites and stuff like this. So she claims to have been Elon's babysitter when he was very young, like from age 2 to like 8. Okay. So she's saying things like May Musk seemed like a hero to her because her mom treated her like trash. And then May Musk would be like, always asking her permission, like, would you like to babysit my children? Would you mind? Like taking her to her nice house. Because basically this lady's mom was like a drug addict and didn't care about her. So she seemed like the Musk family was like amazing to her, right? And her aunt was like, you have to do everything they say. You cannot like displease these people. You need to do whatever May tells you. Apparently, May insisted on being called Light. She didn't want to use her real name. I don't know. And Elon would call her, the babysitter lady, Moon. Okay. As a little kid. So a couple little things she said was when he was like 2 and like the first time she met him, she was like watching him as the adults were talking and just running after him or whatever. And she said he was like staring out this door window. And she's like, oh, honey, what are you looking at? Or whatever, like crouching down to like his level. And he just looked at her and she's like, his eyes were black. And she's like, I was so afraid.
Well, when you said her name's Rosemary, I thought it was Rosemary's Baby and then the black eyes.
And then she's claiming that May Musk named her. That's what she claims. That May Musk chose her name. I was like, okay, I don't fucking know.
Now bringing up Rosemary's Baby would tie into Manson.
Of course.
So then, it continues. So this Rosemary character claims that she would overhear adults talking about May visiting Charlie all the time. May's got to go see Charles Manson. Okay. And apparently, I don't know what this connection is. There's some stuff written about Manson and a May, and it's her. Apparently.
See,
I don't know.
This is amazing.
Right? It's a trip.
You're saying this because I love the whole.
It's a trip.
That whole era of that part of California and the stories of the CIA and Monarch and MK Ultra, and we already were talking about the Musk family. And if May was part of all of that, I don't think I could take it. I think my head might explode.
So apparently, this Rosemary also overheard that May loved to visit prisons, and she would deliver like truckloads of TVs to prisons because she was investing in future chaos and wanting to like brainwash like inmates to become like satanic soldiers. I don't know. It's very like Zoolander to me. Kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
Zoolander, when I saw it in high school, I thought it was silly. I enjoyed it. But if you watch it again, it's just like, Ben Stiller, what are you trying to tell us?
Yo,
and now
that shit is not silly, man.
They're punishing him. Now he has to go act like he's in Ukraine and take the walk of shame through the fake war carnage. Like,
what the hell was up with that, right?
Yo, for real. Apparently, this is what she was into, which I found it weird, Jonah, in the chat just now, because Elon Musk went to university in Ontario, where I'm from, at a place called Kingston. Kingston has Queen's University. This is what it's called. Kingston is known for like a huge prison. Kingston Penitentiary is like one of the most high security like prisons in Canada. And I'm like, was that because his mom wanted to go to the prison? I don't fucking know.
Well, it's just, it all makes sense if there's any validity to this, because she is the prototype of these beta sex kittens from MK Ultra and Monarch that we're going around and doing the bidding of the elites, and we've already established the family connection. So this doesn't seem as outlandish to me as it might sound to other people, just because of everything I know and everything you guys know.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a huge stretch.
Right.
I got to look into it more, but I'm intrigued.
Dude, so then the best part of what Rosemary was saying from what I caught was one time when Elon was like 8, well, she's like on record, he would have been 8, but she's like, he was very tiny. So she's like, I don't even think he was actually 8. She's like, I think he was younger than that. But she's like, he had this bedroom in the house that was always very dark, always kept dark with the curtains like closed, whatever. And she was babysitting him. And then he's like, Moon, do you want to come play with my friends? She's like, I did not want to go play with his friends. She's like, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about, right?
Was this after she saw the black eyes?
Yeah, this is later, like a few years later. So she's like, she had this bad feeling and she could feel like wind and like energy in his bedroom as she like pokes in. And then she could see he had, she said his mom had this like trunk that was from Africa. Obviously, she's from South Africa at a time. And it had all these little figurines in it. And Elon would set up the figurines in a circle on his bed and then sit in the circle. And that's when he was like, come play with my friends. And she's like, he legit opened a portal in his bedroom. And he was, this is what she said. He was getting sucked in. And she's like, remembering what her aunt said, do not let anything happen to this little boy. He is special. He is the chosen one. Okay, so she's like, fuck, I have to go after this kid. So she grabs his arm. She claims this whole thing about experiencing being inside the portal.
Oh my God.
Yo, it's far out. And then she was seeing
it sucks that this stuff starts to make the other shit get discredited.
I don't know.
I don't care. I love it.
It's awesome. I was like, yo.
We did.
I dig it.
Teresa did do a disclaimer, this is
I don't
this
know.
is hearsay.
I think this shit prior might be like actually interesting and possible.
It's conspiracy story time.
Yeah.
That's right.
Fairy tale time. But anyways, she claims that she saw figures that looked in her mind, she's not super educated. So she said, all I kind of like them to is like Egyptian gods with like animal heads and shit. And then she claims that she spoke out the name of Jesus because she was petrified and didn't know what else to do. And that's when it stopped. And they were back in his bedroom. And he goes, Moon, why don't you like my friends? That's what she said.
Elon Musk is Rosemary's baby.
Yo,
we take away nothing else from this today.
Yo, for real.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Colby? I know you probably like aren't as like into occultism as my show is, like focuses on that. But have you ever noticed like a commonality with occultists and rockets?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk Werner von Braun,
Yeah, well then Jack Parsons, and I'm like, is
Parsons?
He like Musk just like the next one now?
Oh, well, did you know about Werner von Braun's novel that he wrote and the connection with Elon there?
Yeah, man.
I have heard about it, but I don't remember.
So I've got the link here on my tablet because I don't want to get this wrong, but it was a novel, and I didn't know until I heard about this that Werner von Braun even wrote books. All these motherfuckers like L. Ron Hubbard, they're all novelists. They all write science fiction, and then they become, I mean, it's not science fiction when you look at it. It's like predictive programming and warnings and
L. Ron Hubbard was writing shit like that before he came out with Scientology.
Exactly. I think Dianetics was just like going to be a novel, and he's like, you know what? I bet I could do something with this. So, an ex-Nazi, thanks to Operation Paperclip, who came out here. This is chapter 24 of this book. The book is entitled. It's written in 1953. It's entitled "The Mars Project," and there's an excerpt that I'll read you here. The Martian government was directed by 10 men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled, quote, Elon, end quote. 2 houses of parliament enacted the laws to be administered by the Elon and his cabinet. So this is not a person per se. I guess it would be like prime minister or chancellor, something like that. It's the Elon. So this is Elon's connections to NASA, this book,
Well, he
and
pushes
his
Mars.
obsession with Mars. Yes, he is just definitely, if he's a
I think he
salesman
used
for
to
anything.
have on the top of his banner on his Twitter. This is a while ago before he took over Twitter. If I remember correctly, it was like the Earth, and then like kind of like through other pictures morphing into Mars. And like I know
Isn't that his banner right now?
it might still be. I don't know. I knew it was at one point.
Yeah.
And like another thing too with him with Mars, and this is one of the reasons why I started. I mean, I already questioned him prior, but when we covered Skinwalker Ranch, I thought it was very weird that I found out, Bigelow, who owned Skinwalker Ranch at one point, that was doing very shady shit with NASA, had the ATIP stuff, all that. First off, if people look into ATIP, it's not anything like they're telling the public. It's actually kind of fucking insane, the stuff they were theorizing and trying to do over there. But Elon Musk is like boys with that guy to where like Bigelow is creating the shuttle. And for $52 million, you can get this shuttle that will be shot up with one of Elon's rockets and take you to Mars. And you could stay there for 90 days. Like, I regardless if that's even true, possible, or whatever. But it's like those two, like, his shit, Bigelow's stuff is attached to the International Space Station because Elon's rockets took him there. Like, you just have weird people who are having relationships together that I just do not think is in our best benefit.
Most definitely.
No kidding.
Rosemary's Baby.
Such a trip. Oh my God. Yeah. And my aunt met Mae Musk one time at a party. Yeah. She said that she has a very strong presence. That's the way she described her. Very striking. And did you know that Mae Musk was in a Beyonce music video? Like, who the fuck is she to be in a?
Well, there's
in a
another
music
occultist
video?
tie right there.
Exactly.
I think she was the oldest swimsuit person to be on Sports Illustrated cover.
Yeah. And she had contracts with CoverGirl, all kinds of makeup brands. I'm like, but why? Like, I don't know.
She's a fox.
Yeah, she's all right. She's all right.
I mean, if you want to talk about her time in the industry, she was the prototypical, like, what they were looking for. She has the long, slender body, sharp cheekbone features, and just all that stuff. She was that type of model. And,
yeah, very striking.
But there's a lot of women that look like that. So we always got to ask, well, where did they come from? And she came from the guy who was the Technocracy Incorporated dude in Canada. And could have been anybody.
Exactly. I also find it weird, like Elon's company names, like had the X company.
Oh, well, when he went to PayPal, it was Confinity was Peter Thiel, X.com was Elon Musk. Elon Musk got into a battle because he really wanted PayPal to be called X.com.
Mm-hmm.
And he has not let that site go. And I think my co-host Jeremiah, when we talked about him on our show, he was saying that like he used it to sell SpaceX t-shirts at one point or something. But there's the Dark Journalist. I don't know if you two are familiar with him. He's the guy. He does some good work. He's a huge aliens dude, but he dresses like he's like Agent Smith or one of the X-Files characters, and he talks about UFOs. But he always talks about the X-File. And he says that Elon Musk has some kind of weird tie with the X-File. That's why he always has the X symbolism in all his stuff. And he's trying to like say it without saying it.
X.com, SpaceX, Osiris, like Rising is the X, like,
yeah.
Well, what's his kid's name?
From Malkuth.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a kid named X?
It's that weird, like AE.
Yeah, but they I think they call him X now. Like, maybe I think that when Grimes, so in the state of California.
Look who even ran the X-Men. Some guy who could think outside of his fucking head and do shit.
Oh, shit. Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
Charlie. Oh, shit. Charles God.
Endless connections.
Oh, God. What a day. What a day. Yeah. I don't know. I just found that weird. And then I keep hearing, like, in old interviews, he describes his dad, Errol, as like pure evil.
Yeah.
And he was like, anything evil you can think of, my dad has done. I'm like, that's a far out claim. So this kind of got me thinking, you know, how a lot of like space stuff is very ritualistic and whatnot. So it got me thinking of like this like Zeus versus Kronos type of thing, you know, like the sun takes over the evil dad, destroys him, or like a Lucifer versus Satan like kind of battle. I don't know. Maybe
No, there's a
that's
very like Oedipus kind of thing going on with Errol and May and Elon.
right.
Like, I don't know. I don't think it's. I have a very good relationship with my mother, and I think that's healthy. But if you see these two, like when they went on the Saturday Night Live stage together, it just seems a little weird. And I don't know.
Even his name too, like Elon.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if Project Cheney. I don't know if you guys know who she is. She has a pretty good podcast. She won't call him Elon. He's Elon to her. It's like she sees the symbols and she's never gonna like let it go, which I love. I'm having her on. We're gonna shit all over Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and just all the people that keep pushing this stuff to us. I'm excited about that.
That sounds fun. Yeah, there's so many weird things about him and his mom, and yeah. Oh, so this Rosemary lady. One more thing about her.
Oh yeah,
sorry. I know she's crazy.
No, I want to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So she asked her aunt, like outright, because she had such a weird feeling when she'd babysit Elon. She's like, "Is he even human?" And her aunt is like, "I don't know."
He doesn't act like he is.
Doesn't really.
On purpose.
And she said, "Is he the Antichrist?" She asked her aunt. And
I have said he is before.
So she said no. Or no, sorry. The lady who she asked is apparently involved in like Santeria, you know, that like South American kind of stuff. Anyways. So the lady said, no, he's not the Antichrist, but he will unveil the mark and make way for the beast to come, which makes sense. This is
Neuralink.
This is when he was a kid. She was saying this, apparently. So
I'm glad you brought this aspect to this show because I just wanted to like show some documented facts, but I think that the supernatural, paranormal, occultist stuff is just as valuable. Yeah, it might be speculation, but this stuff, these connections, you know, at the end of the day, when you get used to looking at them, it doesn't even really faze me anymore. But the stuff that you're saying right now is blowing my mind.
Right.
Well, you know what I even find interesting, and it's hard for me to dive into it now and try to explain why I'm saying this, but like a lot of symbolism that I think I've been seeing lately goes back to, I think, like even Q or Quetzalcoatl, the beast stuff, and especially with what's going on in Ukraine. In my opinion, Nazis are just another occult order. The guys with the guns on the ground may have no idea about that, but somebody above, this is a magical game for them. Regardless, you know, shit could. I'm not even denying the fact buildings aren't being destroyed and so are people. But why it's really being done, nobody may really even fucking know that's actually involved. I do think Nazis.
Well, isn't that the way that these big wars always are?
I do think Nazis are beast symbolism. That's why they're very much involved in war, explosive, raw, destructive energy. I do think they symbolize a lot of that. And I have seen, my opinion, stuff with Elon, numbers and occultism with him. I do think points to that. Again, which is why I go into Mormons, because again, Mormons spilling your seed and pushing out kids is the same thing in a sense. You're spreading your energy, you know? The numbers 44 with Twitter. You know, I've seen a lot of 4s and a lot of 8s. You see that with even Trump in his texts. You know, I think there's 4s and 8s in there. 4s and 8s on the tree will explain the story that you were just talking about with the child overcoming the father. The prince is now becoming the king. So even the 44 is a 4 and an 8 in there. And I think the fact of him kicking off Kanye was actually a joke. because he is the one, in my opinion, that is representing beast symbolism, who has a platform of red and blue soldiers, white and blue soldiers, just like the Nazis. Elon has his army of SS online.
They're brutal too.
And I think it was more of a joke, is that I'm actually the one with the Nazi symbolism, and I just kicked you off Twitter.
Plus, you showed a picture of me when I was bald and dorky. I think that was the real reason, because that man's ego is fucking just as big as his personality, you know. And that's another thing I always wonder about him, now that we're talking about Twitter again, is he has SpaceX, Boring, Tesla, and he's doing all these military contracts. How the fuck is he have all this time to tweet? He tweets more than anybody.
The man he's the face of AI, and you think everything is actually being done by him on the internet?
I think his Neuralink just sends out tweets. The one that he has in his head is just constantly sending out tweets.
Him on the phone. With everything that he's doing, I don't believe that that's weird. It's always him on Twitter, regardless.
Well, if he isn't human, maybe he can do all these things at the same time. Who knows? But, getting back to where Rosemary asked if he was human, when he said on day one, we're going to get rid of all the non-human accounts. We're going to make sure that all humans are verified. I'm paraphrasing, but his tweet was something to the effect of verifying all the humans. And the way he worded it, it was as if all the humans, not including me, like, I mean, I could have been projecting what I believe about him onto that tweet, but you can do it with Zuckerberg. You can do it with Elon. It's like they look at themselves, even if they are flesh and blood, they look at themselves as they're above us. Yeah. And also, Elon Musk is a young global leader from the World Economic Forum. In 2008, he was named, and that shit has been scrubbed off the internet. The only place you can find it is an old Bloomberg article, and it is out there for now. But that was like a few years after 2008. Now you go back and you look at the WEF alumni list. It doesn't go back before 2014.
Wow.
You know Bryson, right, Colby?
No.
From We've Read the Documents. Oh, I thought you might have.
John Bryson. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. I know. I didn't know that was his last name, but I know who he is.
He was on my show not too long ago, and he was mentioning it's interesting, like stuff that you can find in articles in newspapers. He found, and it was something I never thought of. I was like, this is smart that he even thought of looking for this. He's like, you get people going on about, oh, well, Trump was only on the flight logs, like, 2 times, or it was only 12 times. It's not a big deal. Whatever. They want to try to say it was like minimalize it. And he's like, but, have you ever wondered how many times maybe he was on Trump's plane? Like, has anybody ever thought of that? And like, he found an article of like in some golf magazine where Trump legitly was coming out and talking about numerous times he's picked up Epstein with his fucking jet. It's like, you don't have to be in Epstein's flight logs to not be doing stuff with him.
It's like we're talking about the rebranding of people. That's one thing they did with Trump was when it came to Epstein, they had to be forthcoming with the fact that those two were very tight at one point. But then they concocted this story about how, Trump threw him out of Mar-a-Lago because he was, getting fresh with one of his business partners' 14-year-old daughter. And it's like, okay,
probably a chick that he wanted to tap, and he got jealous.
Well, that's probably true. And at the same time, he was willing to say that, like, I cut ties with Epstein over a real estate deal gone wrong. But then after the second time Epstein was arrested, everything changed.
And the funny thing is like, how do you even know what that real estate is involved in?
Well, when it comes to Epstein, it either had to do with sex trafficking or eugenics. There's no exception with the stuff that he was into as far as like the land that he owned. That's what
I was like, what's on the land maybe that you were doing?
You're telling me you're business partners with this guy and you don't know what he's up to? It's kind of like what you're saying, like you didn't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very well said. Is there anything else any one of you want to bring up on Elon before we wrap it up?
I pretty much think I've said everything that I kind of just like wrote down. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't sleep very much last night, so it was worth it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me on. This has
course.
been awesome. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, and tell you the truth, I think this hit our all-time high of like 40-something viewers live.
Oh, cool.
And that's just on YouTube. On Rumble, I think there was like 5 or 6 before. So this was definitely, I think, the most watched live so far. So thank you.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
It's been a good topic.
And that's I just kind of get mad that people shy away from this. So I'm glad to hear that you're not.
It is too. And it's so funny. And I mean, this goes for like so many things: politicians, people, all the podcasts. It's like if somebody's like known, it's like in the public eye. It's like for some reason, even conspiracy shows are afraid to say something bad because their listeners might get upset or like that person too.
I like that reaction.
It's like, what the
we're here to make burgers out of these sacred cows.
Are you here to shovel shit down people's throats they want to hear, or did you do this because you? What the?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's if it's what jives with me, and I put it out. Other people's don't like it. It's free. Don't press play anymore.
Yeah, my other show, Disinfobation, Dusty and I lost. In the beginning, we had a shitload of MAGA people. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put a stop to this. And we did an episode where we just shit all over Trump, and our views went way down. We haven't really recovered either.
What was funny is that when me and Lux first started the Occult Rejects, we had realized we had like kind of like a MAGA Q following at the beginning.
Well, it's probably because you have Patriot in your name. A lot of people just gravitate towards that.
That, and I think, because some of the topics we covered, I don't even want to mention them on here because I've lost channels over some of the topics. That, and, what's funny is like at one point, me and him were like, like at some point we're going to end up like probably vocalizing what we really feel. And then that's when he was like, well, maybe we can cover the order of Quetzalcoatl and segue that into QAnon and kind of like ease people into what we think it meant, what we really think about it. And,
that's when I started listening to you guys. I was like, somebody's saying it. Yeah, I like that you went your Q stuff. It was like, okay, this is like finally somebody out there with a podcast is saying this. Because not a lot of people were
receipts and like why we were saying it too, but like it definitely noticed. I mean, whatever. For me, it worked out. We lost people and gained new ones, so I didn't care. But I did notice like problems with neither comments or social media or listens. That one didn't do that well at the beginning, And unfortunately, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. That's what I think. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, if you want big numbers in the beginning, pick a side. You're going to get numbers. But if you're authentic, you're going to last. And you're going to get listeners who are genuine. And who cares if there's only a few hundred of them, It doesn't matter.
I just want people with critical thinking.
Yeah.
Which was probably going to be small anyway, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. We're in shallow waters here.
Yeah, I'm okay with just like a small little party going on. Doesn't have to be a hotel party. Multiple floors, Me and a couple of people talking shit.
I never liked big parties anyway.
Oh, well, thank you both for coming on. Like I said, that was the most watched live so far. I had a lot of fun. Colby, would you like to plug your show again as well?
Yeah, conspiracyplaytime.com is where you can find that, and you're going to want to go there instead of YouTube because we're getting videos pulled down left and right. Chris from Rained Out Rantcast last week got pulled down in under 3 hours. We're on 2 strikes now. That YouTube might not even be around for a while. We're also on Rumble as well as my other show. Conspiracy Playtime is on all the audio platforms. Disinfobation is on all the platforms other than Apple and YouTube, and that's where you can find my stuff.
Yo, you get 2 strikes, don't drop nothing for 3 months, dude.
I was thinking about like putting this on my feed, but if I do, I'm not going to put it on YouTube because we said some.
I'm going to risk this, but I don't have a strike.
Okay.
So
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Again, it's all these are all theories. We're all just wondering, talking about ideas. Teresa, would you like to plug your show too?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, and it was great to meet you, Colby.
You too.
And please check out the Spiritual Gangsters if you like my far out Rosemary's Baby theory. Yeah, anyways, you can come check me out there on all the major podcast platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and you can find me on Instagram the most at teresa.cassar.
Thank you. Yes, and for the links for both their shows, it's all in the bottom. And I do want to say I would like to. I know you mentioned Lower Canyon. Maybe in another month or so, all three of us can return back for that and do like another live on that because I think that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and dude, you mentioned getting Cosmic Peach, Julia.
Yeah,
in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. I totally forgot.
She is very knowledgeable and all that stuff. Like I thought I was the authority on that topic, and no, I'm not.
He goes deep.
I actually messaged her recently on Instagram, and I was like, "Yo, what are you covering? I need you back on my show." She's very good. Whatever she's covering, she's going to do a very good job on it, in my opinion. I think she is an actual real podcaster out there.
She's natural. Yeah, it's
and honestly, I'm glad it's a female too because women I think are very good at specific things when it comes cults. I'm sorry, when I want to watch a show about cults, I find a female. They fucking knock these things out of the park. They're just very meticulous, and I think more women should be more comfortable coming out and doing this stuff.
It's because they're all in love with serial killers.
No, because women will find shit out, man. We sniff it out. We're like,
true.
oh
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So like, I really wish more women would just lose the fear and just do it. Because she's a great fucking podcaster, I think. So yeah, that's a good idea. I almost forgot about that. I'll have to write that down. Maybe all four of us can do a live. We'll have to do it at night though with her schedule, but maybe we can make that happen for sure. I think that would be fun as fuck.
Nights work for me too. So
yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome. All right. Definitely. We'll have to make that happen. Everybody in the chat, because there was a fuck ton of people. I'm not going to mention all your names, but you know who you all are. I saw the regulars. I saw some new people in there. This is why I do the lives. I like to be able to interact. I like to be able to see what people are saying. If there's any questions, I'll bring them up. It's a way to interact with the listeners because without you, I wouldn't be going live. So thanks again for jumping in. And just a reminder, going forward, I did it last night and I'm doing it right now. When we go to stream live, it will be to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Odyssey, and Rumble now. So we got 5 places that we are going live on. I'm assuming out of all of those, there's an easy one for you to use. So check out all those channels that we got as well to catch lives. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later. Yeah, that was fucking great.